We know the legendary Mike Tyson's record isn't anyone's cup of tea. Or maybe it is, because there's a rising heavyweight star who seems to think that he might just have what it takes to break the record once and for all. Yep, we're talking about none other than Moses Itauma. Keep watching this video for more deets, because we're also going to talk about the crazy sparring with Anthony Joshua. First off, Itauma might have a great shot at breaking the record. Let's dig into his career, shall we? To be specific, Itauma's set his eyes on becoming the youngest ever world heavyweight champion, so there's only so much practice and wins he can get before time runs out. As for his career, let's just say the rising star has definitely seen a lot of success. In fact, Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions decided to sign him for a long-term deal. Think about it. At 18, Itauma is going to make his debut on a world title. And let's not forget Anthony Yardy's clash with Artur Beterbiev. That's set to happen on January 28th, 2023 at Wembley Arena. Now, with his manager Francis Warren on his side, we're all expecting the rising star to move step by step and hopefully explore his full potential. And if we're being honest, it seems like he's definitely got what it takes to become one of the biggest stars in the division. On the other hand, he's also pretty careful about going for gold quicker than he should. Now, one thing's for sure, he definitely wants to break that record and become the youngest heavyweight champion. In fact, he said so himself. At the time of the record, Tyson was 20 years old, and Itauma's 18 right now, and with his debut confirmed, he wants to take small steps, but not too small. Following up, Itauma has other things to focus on right now. It turns out breaking that record isn't at the top of his list right now. In fact, he feels he's got until 2025 to achieve that, which makes sense, so he doesn't need to be rushing on it. In fact, he feels he wants to let that come once he's grown as a professional, rather than trying his luck at it during his amateur career. And that's exactly why he doesn't want the media to go crazy over it either. Think about it. He literally didn't have that kind of exposure all his life, and suddenly he's making headlines everywhere. As of now, the rising star feels he's in the right place, and why wouldn't he? After all, he's got Frank Warren sponsoring him, who has all the other big heavyweights right now, so clearly Itauma's got a great shot at this. As for Tyson, he knocked out Trevor Berbick in trademark fashion, only to become the WBC World Heavyweight Champion at the ripe age of 20 and set a new record. And let's just say this record has cemented its mark in history books ever since November 1986. So if Itauma manages to break it, let's just say it's going to change history of over 3 decades. Having said that, he's definitely excited, especially considering the fact that he'll be going there with his brother. In fact, throughout their amateur boxing career, they never thought they'd be boxing on the very same night. So being able to share a time like this together, where one is lined up for his first title while the other has his first debut, is gonna be pretty special to say the least. Not to mention, Itauma has big plans coming up for 2023 and beyond. The younger brother of elite light heavyweight prospect Carroll even won gold at the schools, juniors, and youth Europeans. In fact, Moses is a 2-time national champion and a multi-nation box cup winner. And let's just say he's been unbeatable in 24 fights as an amateur. But if he's gonna break that record, he needs to step out of the amateur world and fight with the biggest stars in the sport right now. And that's exactly what he's planning to do, because now he's gonna be seen in action for the first time in professional ranks as he fights for his first title. Having said that, he came off COVID with 0 fights, only to now have the most fights he's ever had. On top of that, signing with Frank Warren only makes it better from here. Plus, he's pretty confident in his abilities, and it's time for him to see the actual difference between pros and amateurs, because if we're being honest, the teenager is ready to have his name cemented in the history of boxing as one of the biggest legends. Will he be able to do that? Guess we gotta wait to find out. On the other hand, he says if he's not winning his pro debut, he definitely won't be beating Mike Tyson's record. Sitting right next to the younger brother at the BT Sports Studios was none other than the former Olympic youth champion Carroll, who's gonna big to win a first title in the professional ranks. And we're talking about the upcoming fight when he's gonna go up against Ezequiel Osvaldo Moderna from Argentina for the WBC International Light Heavyweight title at the OVO Arena, Wembley, on January 28, 2023. Coming up, there's a lot of pressure and training for the upcoming fight. Itauma says that his coach does all the homework, and he just tries to implement all of that when he gets in the ring. If anything, that's sort of how things have been going on with the heavyweight prospect and his trainer. At the same time, he needs this kind of fight. And while the title is a cherry on top for the rising star, there's definitely a lot of pressure lined up for this thing. As for the record, what Tyson did was definitely shocking. With Kid Dynamite going pro in March 1985, right after 27 pro bouts, he literally ripped the WBC belt from a pretty successful fighter in Berbick. And let's not forget that it was less than 221 months at the pro level. After that, Tyson quite often fought every month and rapidly went up the rankings. In fact, sometimes he'd even pick 2 fights in a month. Clearly, legends like him don't enter the boxing world too often, so no matter how talented, we're always a bit doubtful that any fighter would ever be able to match, let alone overtake, that sort of hectic and non-stop schedule. On the other hand, it's going to be interesting and fun to watch Itauma as he tries to mark his place in history books. And with that, there's already the weight of huge expectations lying on Itauma's shoulders before his very first debut. Moving on, he also opened up about the crazy sparring with Joshua. The teenage heavyweight prospect has already made a huge first impression as an amateur right after the COVID-19 pandemic after signing with Queensberry Promotions. And now the young star is set to make his much-awaited first appearance on the undercard of Anthony Yardy's World Title Challenge against Arthur Beterbiev on January 28 at Wembley Arena. Let's just say that this might be the perfect chance to make it all the way to the top. Having said that, the British star has already mixed it with the best and even shared rounds with Lawrence Okolie, Joe Joyce, and Joshua. And he's not wrong, you know. The atmosphere at camps for the big fights is definitely going to teach him a lot and help him improve his own career, along with all the fame he's getting. All in all, as he said, they're sort of learning experiences. Clearly, sparring isn't a real fight if you think about it, but it's definitely helpful for him considering the state of his career. As for Joshua, he's on the hunt in the United States for a new trainer right after he decided to split with American trainer Robert Garcia. And let's not forget his second defeat of Alexander Usyk in a row in 2022. As of now, he's trying to rebuild this year because, let's face it, he's nowhere near the world titles. If anything, Usyk and his bitter rival Fury are lined up for it now. What's more, Joshua hasn't had the most successful year. Let's just say that after defeat, he finally decided to take a step back and refocus before he's back into the ring. Just last year in 2022, after his 2 defeats to Usyk, he was up against Tyson Fury for a very invigorating match. December 3rd, everyone marked their calendars. The 2 heavyweight stars already agreed to it and pretty much made it official until there was just one thing left. Turns out that the contract still wasn't signed, and fans were already counting the days until the big fight. The Gypsy King sent in a bunch of reminders and 2 ultimatums, with Joshua's legal team trying to figure out the fine details, and as we already know, things never worked out, and Fury went on to have his trilogy fight with Derek Chisora on the same date. Let's just say, while the Gypsy King emerged victorious, as we all expected, Chisora wasn't doing so well after the referee had to step in to end the fight. Having said that, Joshua is yet to return this year to seek redemption and become a 3-time world champion. And with that, it seems like the British star has 3 fights lined up this year. In fact, promoter Eddie Hearn announced that he's going to be taking on an unnamed top 15 opponent to try and rekindle his winning form. Finally, 2023 has a lot of exciting things lined up. If we haven't already talked about everything, there are already a couple of things to watch out for this year. While Joshua's trying his luck to get back up and fight the big names, soon enough, other rising stars like Itauma got their eyes set on unbeatable records. And if we're being honest, there's definitely a lot of potential in him. But the record has been unbeatable for over 3 decades for a reason, right? If anything, the start of his career after his first debut is gonna tell fans all they needed to know to figure out whether Itauma has what it takes to become the next boxing legend. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think the rising heavyweight star Moses Itauma is gonna be able to break Mike Tyson's record? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.